In her satin tights, fighting for our rights, it's Wonder Woman on Film Threat Reviews. All right, so I'm Alan Ng. I'm with Zorianna Kit, and today we review Wonder Woman 1984. Who'd have believed it would have come out by now? We rewind to the 1980s as Wonder Woman's next big screen adventure finds her facing two all-new foes, Max Lord and The Cheetah. It's directed by Patty Jenkins, stars Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Kristen Wigg, Pedro Pascal. It's the sequel to what is considered probably the best of the new DC movies. I'm just curious what you thought of Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh, man, Alan, it was so worth the wait. I'm telling you, this film was so highly entertaining. It grabbed me, and I was fully in until the end. And I actually think releasing it at this time feels right, because this film has all these themes of telling the truth and not cheating and not taking shortcuts, and it preaches, forgiveness over vengeance. And considering the type of year 2020 has been with the coronavirus and the election year, I really feel like this movie is just such an amazing, fantastical way to close out 2020, given these themes.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I appreciated the movie, but it has. I'll pull myself out of 2020 for the moment and just say that it to me, the problem with the movie was what Star Trek, the problem with a lot of the Star Trek movies was, and it felt like that this was a 2.5-hour Wonder Woman television show episode.
Really?
Going back, because I'll tell you, the nature of the story feels like a television episode, has a moral story, which I would associate with an episode of Star Trek, which I love Star Trek, and I do love the nature of that. But for me, when it's on the big screen, it doesn't play as well as if I was watching a Wonder Woman television series and this was an episode of it, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But it's, we waited several years for this to finally come out. And, I want something bigger, broader, and more vast in scale than what I got here. That said, there's a lot I liked about the movie. It's just, I don't know. I just rewatched our Soul review, and I'm feeling the same feelings, that this is not the medium necessarily for that story.
Oh man, Alan, we're going to disagree on this. I watched this with my 13-year-old daughter, and we saw the first one in theaters. Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And it was just to sit and watch this with her, considering the values and the themes that it was portraying in this whole action genre of this female empowerment. It couldn't have been a better mother-daughter fun time. And I just was so into everything about this film. First of all, the 80s, man, come on. How awesome is that a setting for a movie, with the colors and the aerobics outfits and the fanny packs, that in itself, 80s is just that was just a great idea.
Okay, here, let me stop you on that one. I love the 80s. I grew up in the 80s. I related to what was happening. It's just, the thing is that these jokes, this whole idea of Steve Trevor caught in the 80s, and what's a fanny pack? Well, people are wearing parachute pants. These jokes just fell so flat. It's Hollywood is so full of comedy writers that they could have easily gone in, doctored up these jokes, and we saw it in the trailers. It didn't make me laugh in the trailers. It didn't make me laugh then, and they just kind of leaned into it. That said, I do like what they did with Steve Trevor. We can't talk about why he's there, but his presence is a very interesting storytelling aspect of this movie.
I haven't agreed with anything that you've said regarding this
You
film.
were laughing at parachute pants?
In fact, I think it's only fair that the reverse happens in this film, because in the previous one, it was Diana who was the fish out of water when she steps out of her, perfect island world run by her aunt and all of those, cool, strong chicks, and it finds herself on a more earthly level, and just it was funny watching her trying to figure out how life worked on planet Earth, and watching Steve kind of try to teach her.
I'm just saying the jokes are old, and like I said, there are comedy writers begging to get on movies like this, and I think they could have spruced up those jokes a lot better.
I guess I wasn't really thinking about jokes. I was really, this to me felt like, it didn't feel like your typical superhero movie. I really like the love story between Diana and Steve was very much prominent and beautiful, and call me a hopeless romantic, but I really loved that sort of unrequited love, like you want to be together, but like it's
and as crazy as his presence was, it fit the story, and I like that. If you're gonna do something weird, do it weird, but make it fit, and it fit. It definitely fit. Even Kristen Wigg, she played the cheetah, and I like the fact that she played it straight. That this was not the SNL Kristen Wigg. There are aspects of it at the beginning, but she played it straight all the way through and became this believable character. Pedro Pascal, he was a little over the top. I almost didn't recognize him.
I know, I didn't recognize him at all.
And he played that over the top DC villain.
But here's the thing: there was a very subtle father-son story with him that when he goes off the rails to become the villain, he returns to at the end. And again, everything about this film kept coming back to the heart of the matter, to the heart. And I think that's what makes it so special. The other thing is that I know you loved Avengers. Like, I know that was like the that's
the standard.
The standard of which you rate all these other movies. But Alan, the thing about Avengers is that it was fight after fight after fight, these massive set pieces, and it was about those set pieces, not necessarily about all those superheroes in there. This wasn't so much about the set pieces. When there was an action scene, it was about how Diana was handling them, how Steve was helping her, or where she was, whether it was at the mall or saving a little girl. And so you weren't distracted about all the explosions or things like that. You were able to breathe through those action and again get to the heart of it. And that's what I appreciated, that the action didn't take over and become the set pieces. And that's what the superhero movies tend to do. It becomes an assault on the senses because it's just war, destruction, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, some people like that. I certainly like that. And you do need a story in there to kind of thread things together. I think the other quibble I have is it's a 2.5 hour movie.
I didn't feel the length though. I didn't feel that.
I felt the length.
My only quibble was that I felt like although I don't know all my DC history and I don't know much about the history of the cheetah, I do feel like the cheetah entered towards the very end and then was quickly quashed. And so that came a little late. Not that I minded. I enjoyed seeing Kristen Wigg as Barbara and her transformation into the cheetah slowly. But the other thing is whoever designed the cheetah costume or whoever created the version of that cheetah, that's when the realism went out the window, because it kind of felt like I was watching an animated. It felt more like animation and not real, and that's the only part where I was really kind of pulled out of this world.
I mean, quite frankly, you didn't need to call her the cheetah. I mean, she's barely the cheetah in the film. Look, there's a lot to like about this movie. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. You know, they cast her right. She has that character down. She owns it. I didn't think I was gonna like the Steve Trevor thing. I liked it. It worked. Kristen Wigg, great. And the fight pieces, the action pieces. You said that, you know, movies are just wall to wall. I kind of wish there was more, but of the 4 that they gave us, I certainly enjoyed it. And you know, that's Wonder Woman fighting. I think for me, my down feelings about it, I think, are going to translate, you know, to the general population as well. And it's just, you know, it's not a story we necessarily want to see on the big screen, and is more suited for the little screen.
Think for yourself, Alan.
Okay, we'll see. You know, we're reviewing this before it's gone public, so, you know, like Soul, we'll see what happens.
I don't know if it's a male-female thing. I know when we reviewed A Promising Young Woman previously, there was a little bit of you and I had. We liked and disliked the movie for various reasons that made me ponder if it's because I'm a woman, you're a man, and I'm wondering if this is the same situation here. If you know action and I'm with the heart of it.
You know, I'm going to go back to Star Trek. There's a reason why the odd-numbered films are worse than the even-numbered films, and it has to do with this idea, the story, the odd-numbered films of Star Trek are essentially 2-hour Star Trek episodes. And I feel the same way about Wonder Woman 1984. It's a 2.5-hour episode of a TV series that I would watch.
What would you have wanted here? Just more action?
You know, it's this idea of continuing to build upon the DC cinematic universe, so to speak. You know, this doesn't build upon it. It's an episode. It's a single issue of a giant, you know, of a giant collection of Wonder Woman stories.
But isn't that what makes it refreshing, that it doesn't build, that it doesn't focus on all the other franchise tentacles, that it is this self-contained story? It didn't feel corporate, Alan. And when you're building a franchise and you could see the obvious signs of laying little Easter eggs here or there, because you know there's other movies coming down, or there's the DC universe that's going to meld into this. The fact that this didn't there was none of that here, just made me feel like I was watching a movie that wasn't talking at me, that wasn't telling me.
See, I think for me, it's having grown up from a very young age and have been a comic book fan, a comic book television fan. I watched the original Wonder Woman. I watched the Hulk. You know, then I got into the movies, the bad movies, the good movies. You know, I've seen all the Wonder Woman episodes. You know, and for me to say, oh, they're going to make a Wonder Woman movie, I don't necessarily want them to put an episode of Wonder Woman on the movie screen and then call that a Wonder Woman movie. It's got to be something broader, grander, and bigger. And that's the feeling I got from this. So maybe it's an issue of my background, my love of comic books, comic book stories, and finding that difference between, you know, this movie and the television series. It's like taking Supergirl, the current one, and putting up on the big screen. You have to deliver something that's beyond an episode of Supergirl. Otherwise, why spend that extra money, and why put it on the big screen when you could have just put it in a regular season?
We do see the birth of the invisible plane, and I waited for that in the first movie, which never happened. So,
okay, without saying anything, what happens to her at the second half of the movie begs the question: why does she need an invisible plane?
Well, because you're paying homage to history.
I know.
We witnessed that the lasso of truth does do a little bit more than just that. It can reveal other things. and I thought that was really cool too.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And I will say the way the plane becomes invisible, it feels like it just kind of came out of convenience for story than it was an actual invisible plane. All right. So clearly you like this movie. You liked it a lot. You felt its power, its message. So I'll say you gave it a 9.
I gave it a 9, Alan. I gave it a 9, knowing that you were not going to meet me at that number. Yeah, I think you gave it a 7.
Yeah, after the lashing you gave me on Soul, I gave it a 7. So yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's worth watching. It's just, I feel like my criticism of it is going to come out in look, I'm happy to be wrong, but if there are negative feelings about Wonder Woman, I feel like that's the reason why. And,
well, maybe we should have a review part 2, and I certainly hope people who watch this do chime in with their thoughts and make some comments, because clearly Alan and I have very different point of view, so we definitely want to know what you all think.
Look, if I'm wrong, I'm happy to be wrong. I just don't think I am.
And if I'm right, I'm happy to be right.
All right. Very good. All right. So with that, be sure to like, subscribe, please comment. Tell us what you thought about Wonder Woman 1984. And with that, let's get out of here.